I got a very nice placement in a important Huffington Post article that came out, and I was literally joking with my talent manager. I was like, "Oh, how do you get a serious interview with Huffington Post? Just knit in a ball gown for a few years and like say good stuff."
Right.
So I laugh in the face of their professionalism. I knew you would one.
I started a little list of white words that I think white women could benefit from, just like, huh, what's that mean? One, brand, right? I get it as a concept, but branding, that is familiar. Professionalism doesn't mean you can't exude whatever they sold you as the thing you're doing, right? Like a brand, but you aren't. But you, whatever. It's like
I
the work,
mean,
the job,
yeah.
But
We have in the book that professionalism is just racism by another name.
it's
And
just,
we point them to the Black thinkers that talk about that. Kenneth Jones and Tima Akun, who I think we learned of from you.
yes. But that's because that's really about workplace culture. And now I'm realizing also that, like, of course, speaking about workplace culture is where we would talk about interpersonal, like racialized socialization, like the dynamics there, because otherwise, Black people are not interacting with you and you're not interacting with them. But like overall, those conversations, like we see it at work because that's where the social scripts are colliding and not going well, in my opinion. Like whatever the social scripts you guys have and what we have are different.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, it's interesting because I've been following all of these Brazilian creators and American creators that are both talking about white supremacy. And, Brazil's response to slavery ending was breed them out. And America's response to slavery ending was segregation and Jim Crow, right? Like all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And so it ended up in two very different things, which is this like, I mean, in America, like we don't share the same spheres other than where we're forced to, like in the workplace or in sports, the places that have been forcibly desegregated, right? But like
Yeah.
churches, club,
Right.
like are
Where your actual commune,
people actually interacting much less,
right.
than I think for sure like white America realizes,
And the
I mean,
isolation is culty to isolate you
yeah.
so that
And I remember when early on in my journey someone told me like you don't have Black friends if you have not been in a Black woman's kitchen. And I was like, whoa, like here I was definitely thinking I had Black friends,
right.
but I
That's
had
where I'm kind of,
colleagues, I had people
yeah.
in the space, but not.
But you would consider them friends if you only have shallow relationships with even other white women, which is what happens when you are, I guess, performatively regulating or whatever y'all are doing over there. Watching each other and being cops on each other. Like, I don't know. I didn't experience that. My mom didn't have white woman friendships, really. We had, regular dynamics. She was purposefully finding these diverse areas, but for herself, because that's where she felt
Because that's
safest.
what she
And
wanted
yes,
to. Yeah.
right. And it started from within, right? But also realizing that's why I came on to the internet in the first place, to be a professional Black friend, because I wanted to also well, whatever, have white women realize that like those aren't your friends, but they can't tell you that. But you don't even know, they don't know that you don't know you're not friends. Like there's such a gap in what a friend is and what a relationship is. And I don't think Black women need to subject themselves to it to show you, but let's invite you into my kitchen. I don't know what you're going to say.
Right.
Or do or touch or my kids are there, you're gonna touch their hair, you're gonna do something weird? Like, there's so many things, well-meaning, blah, 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 and just coming back to that, realizing, like, that's why I existed where I wanted to, because I don't think you guys realize also how beautiful a friendship can be and what it means to consider this person, to care about them beyond how they affect you. Like, I think white women who listen to my stuff, now care about a Black woman. And because of that, hear me in their head sometimes when they're doing stuff. Because they're like, this is what it's like to have a Black woman in your life, is you realize things. That's it. You just go, I wonder. I've never,
Yeah.
this doesn't sound like, just questioning stuff. But that whole, your family not participating in it when they're alone. I is free yourselves. You know, they were adults, but it's a cult. I get it, but that's not just in the children of God. You know, that is
Right.
out here everywhere with all the white women coming to also going to black women at once they realize what's true, going straight to black women and going, hey, blah, 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 and not
Help me.
right. And I think I want to consider myself, I just don't know much about doulas, but and I don't want people to get upset if I say it wrong, but like I feel like a deconstruction doula. I just want to like help
We
you
need a
through
word
this.
for it. We need a new word. Like coach is not great.
I don't want, you know, and even when I'm like a course, nope, I don't want to produce a course. I don't want it's, you know, because it's been grossed.
No, look, I feel like you are a deconstruction doula, and I'm just like a professional deconstructor. Like at this point, I'm just like, you get in it, you start looking at things, you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we know how to do this. You know, like
Yeah,
I'm
show it.
already only on the second chapter of the deconstruction book. And I'm already like, this isn't about Taylor Swift. This is about white womanhood. Like that's what we're doing right now. We're deconstructing white womanhood, you know, like that happened fast.
Once it's there, you know, and you just gotta let it. If I had told you like and you I want people to think about that, like how it happened for you is how it's gonna happen for them. It's not like a, oh, and then I read a thing and the whatever, that's
Yeah.
why it's a process. It's seeing yourself through it. And trust me, black women are
Yeah.
happy to hear people, white women saying, hey, what?
Yeah, and, like, what we have to do, ladies, white ladies, like, the answer, because I also had that, "Okay, so how do I go find a black woman who wants to invite me into her kitchen?" And, like, don't do that. We don't wanna go out hunting black women. Like, we wanna work on ourselves, and then black women show up pretty much, you
Right.
know?
It just will. You will find yourself in those places, you know, and
And
trust
you
and
know
believe in
what?
yourself.
I think we've been having some actually kind of important conversations about white supremacy this week. On, like, a grander scale. I called in
Yeah.
my brigade of Britneys. I was like, I didn't expect our first mission to be dispersed, but, like, I don't know if you saw this video in Minnesota where they were, like, fighting, like, people were fighting the ICE agents, and, like, right in front was 6 white women fighting, and,
Mhm.
like, that's what we gotta do, you know, like,
And
we gotta
it's
get
not
out.
far-fetched, you know, because I remember that women in general are the first to help other people. Not what they've sold us about men coming in and protecting and saving. You are who you're waiting for, right? And
Right.
even when I said waiting, like, actually, why am I talking? Find your voice, project
You
it, you know?
I was watching this black woman creator and she was saying, she was like, this is class warfare, you know? And there have always been white people who fought and died with the non-white people fighting for freedom, but they don't want you to know their names. They don't want you to know that that happened because they
Mhm.
don't like they if this stays race warfare as it always has been, white people have the numbers. But as soon as we realize this is class warfare, like we have the numbers against the people in command.
Yeah. I would even well, it could be a lot of things, right? Like I don't prescribe to war in general, so like my brain doesn't, you know, like it's categories and things.
Right.
Because it could be gender as well. Because to me, I'm talking to women. I didn't see, you know, only men are really the ice age. You know, women care about other people. I don't know. You know, it's wake up,
I
right?
think
But
it
like
just
it's us.
finally got real for some white women that like
Mhm.
when you resist, you know, I saw, and this time it was a white creator, and she was like, when you give up white supremacy, you lose your proximity to whiteness, which means you lose your safety, which means if you're out there
Yeah.
protecting people, like you might get hurt.
Yeah, I feel yes, and I've seen that, and I've been sitting with some of that. You weren't safe before with
Right.
proximity. You know, I always want to take it a step further, and I don't feel like it. That's giving the truth to what what safety existed before you realized and woke up and realized it could happen to you. You know, your proximity to whiteness makes you closer to men, and they do terrible things to you guys and no one cares, and then you guys shove it under the rug of each other, and you don't care. And like a stable job, right? Is it stable? What if they fire you? No one will care, and then you'll be bad, and then you won't be stable. It's only as safe as you feel it is in whiteness.
Yeah.
And I think welcoming you to this world, and I had posted a video that I was nervous about just because white women, right? But it's a Haley Williams sound, but it's from Ain't It Fun? Because someone was like, I mentioned the thing about Europeans being the white women of the world, and like now you know what it's like to be talked down to, like you're a monolith. And when you're millions of people, individuals, and they're just like, you lazy? And someone had said something like, they're shooting us and protecting the perpetrators and calling us lazy. And I'm thinking, exactly. But you not realize that's literal. If you had cared when it was happening to other people, you would not be surprised. Like it's like we get so close but so far. And so I had posted the Haley Williams, like, ain't it fun? Now you're one of us. Ain't it fun? And like kind of irony, right? And Black people love it, right? And realizing laughter is proof that you have radically accepted something and now let's work with it. To me, it's like metabolizing the trauma of and the grief of what you're seeing and making something with it so that now you can, because you're going to keep experiencing it. This has been happening the whole time. A white woman being shot in the face.
Yeah.
21% of recorded and reported lynchings were of white people. You get into it. I don't know, but it's like you're not safe. And those people, it's not like I think you're safer in community. I'll put it that way. I think calling the bluff of that safety is scary when you look at each other like that policing stuff, the regulations and things, instead of realizing like, I think you now are safer. You've never been proximity to whiteness. It's like you weren't safer. And are you safe in your own head? Like, do you want to live when you're like that? That's how I felt about, I just feel like leaving corporate America. Maybe that's what I'm having now. I'm projecting, but like it's like I'm leaving the stable job. I'm leaving a secure thing. Once I decide to speak out on the internet and say things, I'm not brand safe. Is that safe? Because at any moment they could just go, really? And say something, I don't know, that will like mess with my head, or I don't know, just what is safety?
Right.
Being on the good side, being one of the whites. We didn't want to be it. You're more likely to end things yourself. You're a danger to yourself when you're there. I don't know. I don't want to glorify either. Like it doesn't have to be violent.
Doesn't have to be. But I think we're starting to see like shots fired at ICE in Chicago. I think we're starting to see like potentially the beginning of the American insurgency,
Yeah. I mean, violence is going to happen.
But even it doesn't have to be violent, but like we have to be willing. I've always had a hard time with the rhetoric this last year because I feel like people are really throwing around the word revolution and like war and like and then being like, oh, but how can we do this safely? Like,
yeah,
you can't. I mean, at war, trust me, you try to be as safe as possible. That was a big part of my job. But like, also some people might die, and I think that is maybe just reaching home for some white people.
Yeah. I just want them to take it to a connected place. And I feel like a lot of white women are taking it to like this commenter said, they're shooting us. Not you weren't there. You have to opt into that. Imagine how tired we are. We could be in our beds. You have to go, like, you could do stuff without going there too. I don't want it to be war or nothing like, oh, you step up, you're dropped. There are things you could do right now, which is care about what Black women are saying today. If you had cared or believed us when it was happening to us, it wouldn't be happening to you. That's how you solve it.
If we had showed up in numbers during Black Lives Matter, we might not be here right now.
100%. If you saw Black women as women like you and not, or criminal, like, it shouldn't have taken this. Okay, I have to deal with the patience that it takes to be like, hello. But when white women then go, well, this is my reason for not doing anything, shut up then. or just be quiet. But to put
Right.
that fear onto other people is that performative regulation, also silencing others. No, this is why you shouldn't expect me to do anything because we are being shot. We are being shot. Were we not being shot before this happened? Now it's bad? Yes, it is. But what about when we said, "Hey, we just want to exist in peace," and the cops are brutalizing us? You said, "Well, why didn't you just?" Well, if you, well, it won't happen to me because you. That's how we got here. So it takes healing that also, and it feels like I've been working with the social infection idea. We have a social infection, and time does not heal all wounds. That's stupid. Time doesn't heal infections. It doesn't. And we just kept letting this open wound, and then you keep giving us paper cuts, and then going, oh, and now you're like, guys, I think sickness. So it's going to take a healing process and addressing and redressing the wound that is you didn't care. And I've said this about the European people. It was like, if you didn't care until it started affecting you, you don't care. It's just affecting you. And you want it to stop affecting you. Sorry. So did we.
So
I
did we.
know.
Yeah.
There's just a lot between, but for white women that comes before the violence. And I wish, that's like that true crimification of your existence. But like you had said, revolution, right? And I think about revolution and war and how white people have heard these words, but I don't think about like the Industrial Revolution. That's what? What was that? That's a revolution? It's industrial. We made people into profit. Interesting. War on drugs. We went to war with inanimate objects and made people into profit. Interesting.
And the drugs won.
Right. Because it wasn't. You can't have you're just using words. You got people in camo in the street. That doesn't even make sense. Camo is for the woods. You should be, I don't know, like it's nonsensical. And that's where I think
Yeah. I
there
mean,
has to be a break with that.
is Christy Nome trying to use war imagery. Like, did you see this? Of course, she was,
No.
first of all, she spoke at a podium with a Hitler quote on it. But before that, she put camo netting on her podium, and there was like guards and a soldier and all this military imagery surrounding her. Meanwhile, she's like Timu Barbie. I don't know. Like,
It's literally a game. It's a
it,
war game.
they're trying so hard to be like, this is war.
On who?
Yeah.
Who
I
asked for this? Who are you protecting and serving? And I do want, and maybe, because here's the thing. I had made this, when it comes to cults, how do we defeat a cult? It's not by shaming all its members. It's not by, also, there's a persecution complex that I think gets confirmed sometimes with this, with white women going and screaming, I hate it. Yeah, I need you to use this anger and metabolize it and make it into something impactful. And making these young boys who want to play war, and you're playing it too, step away from the Monopoly table and strategize. How do we get him away from the Monopoly board? Right. So see them as humans, get in their head. You know their scripts. You know what is making them go out there and feel so comfortable. Why does this embolden them? Why aren't they questioning themselves? Make them question themselves, question their principles, their purpose, because they're already doing that. That's how they got here. Oh, is
you got some
$50,000 signing bonus worth it? Really? You're never gonna get laid again. I don't know. Say some stuff like that.
you got some Gen X doxing their ICE parents now. Or not
Right?
Gen X, Gen Z.
Gen Z, right?
Young guys.
Because they know to be seen. They have masks on. Why? Get in those faces. But like in their faces, like inside, like in their head, I mean,
But
like
also, but this is why they're so dangerous, but they're also like so unserious, right? Like they're wearing masks, right? But they're all getting a paycheck, which means they're on a list and we know who they
it's not the
are.
same. Image matters more to them, just like it does to a cult, than what could be done in the future. It's all about that current moment and how silly their face could be used, right? They don't want to be a meme. They care more about that than, and then time passes. I'm sure you know, they're getting these speeches in there that are very manipulative and coercive. And I brought up also when Donald Trump had stood in front of all those, I think it was NYPD, I'm not sure, all those cops and had said years ago, oh, that thing where you cover their heads when you put them in the car, don't, you stop with that. You don't have to do that. Hit them. They basically saying violence is fine for the bads, right? For criminals. And if you believe in criminal humans, the criminals over human, like what, then that's the problem, right? He's telling these people they're bad, they need to be punished. And that's the same rhetoric, same thought process that goes into this. That's why they're shooting people in the face. Because in that moment, this is a monster, like this is a them. And I just think screaming and throwing snowballs, I don't know. Okay, but that can't be the thing. That can't be your, we're done, we did it.
Can't be the only thing.
That's where you meet people, I think, right? That's where you get the bolstering of like, I'm not the only one who thinks this is crazy. We won't stand for this. That's a good type of we, right? Not like we good people would never. Yeah. Community. I just think that I don't want white people to like pass this moment up and go with the fear and the war and the um crimes and also focus on the bright spots. And because the shaming that happened in my comment section, there's not that much, but oh, you're laughing right now. You're laughing. Toni Morrison said in jazz that, you know, laughter is serious and more complicated than tears.
I literally saw a comedian do a whole bit on it. She was like, "They're shooting white women now." And it was funny. It was serious and also funny.
But it's
I
serious.
remember.
Yeah. It's acknowledgement of what is happening and how ridiculous this is. And I wouldn't be doing this work if I didn't think it was like that should be when I was saying that should be an obvious. No one should have to state this is really bad.
I
What?
keep getting people asking me when I'm gonna start taking this seriously. And I'm like, in 2015, I changed my whole life.
I dropped out of a corporate pathway, right? But
Yeah.
they don't see that you
And, like, I
are here.
understand war. Like, let's do not do it, but you know what I mean? Like, this
No,
is I at
like
no
have
point was
these.
I like, everything is gonna be fine. I was like, we're on a march toward dictatorship, and, like,
They think you're talking, you know?
I
It's like they don't that's what I'm saying. Like they don't look at the
it's
person here and go, they must take it seriously.
because I insist on defining the threat as it is now, because that's my job the way I see it.
Yeah.
People insist on me thinking that I'm saying that it's not that bad, you know? Like when I'm
Yeah, what?
saying he cannot control by force the entire United States at once, you know, or like whatever your idea of martial law is, that can't be done, borders can't be closed. They're like, "Oh, you're not taking it seriously." Instead of understanding that like the huge panic is what keeps you frozen. And like, you know, from my perspective, my job in the army, the thing my little ADHD brain is good at is saying, like, what is the threat right here, right now, so that we know how to move forward. And
Right.
like,
Let's address what's
everyone
happening.
only has some pieces of that, you know, because we're all going through this in a weird way for the first time.
Right. We all have our own experiences prior to it
Yeah.
that inform how we're gonna come at this. And that's the whole point of community and coming together to have like cross-cultural conversations, which
Yeah.
is what I just the serious thing. And it connects to that moral misery that I sensed from white people. This, no, I'm sadder than you.
You take it seriously.
Take it seriously. It's similar to the Europeans that is, do you guys know how serious it is now? Oh, it's affecting you a little bit. You heard about it. It's global. Oh, it's global now that you know about it. I'm pretty sure all that the Congo would have said are things are global. Palestinians would have said this is a global thing. We're all, listen, you're
We're
just now
all
becoming
connected.
intellectually aware of it. I need a little bit more internalized awareness of like, maybe I'm part of the thing. Why do I think millions of Americans are just dumb?
I mean, this
That's
is
it.
kind of like I'm kind of just starting to challenge my audience back, and they're like, "What should we do?" I'm like, "What have you been doing? Have you read like at least a dozen books on totalitarian rule or dictatorships? Like, 'cause, I mean, that's what I've been doing ever since I got worried about this, was, like, going and educating myself. So, like, what are you doing
Ooh.
about it? Like,
Well, that really and, like, they're coming to you and saying,
and then
"What
I
do
get
we do?" Is
asked why and then I get asked why I'm mad at them.
right, and you're coming from the cult leader is a bad thing, right? And they're just like but that's so conditioned to just be like,
But
"Someone tell me
now
what to
you
do."
think it's yeah.
And then I can get mad at you when
And
that
that's what I
didn't
keep
work.
telling them also, which is like, nobody can tell you what to do. That's also because there's no one answer to this, right? Like,
Right.
you, the person, have to figure out how you can go get involved. And I was thinking about what you said just now, and, I think it's important for us to put our bodies in the streets and protest, but I also think sometimes that's just too easy of an answer, and what people don't wanna hear is, like, pay your house cleaner even though she can't show up because of ICE, or support a family who can't go to work because of ICE. It's all
Yeah.
this very dramatic, "Oh, I could hide them in my house," but, like, will you pay her Uber to get to work and back so that she's not having to drive her car, you know?
Who
Harder
can you
harder
yeah,
answers of things that you can do, and people want very simple, easy answers, and
go
this is
outside.
a simple problem.
In the streets. I'm in the streets. I've had people yelling that at me. I'm not. Is that I'm a black woman. I'm sorry. In the streets, we did that so that you would see us. And I know we've talked about this before too. And that's why last week I was like, I don't know that riots. Yeah, be upset, be angry, but you don't use that. You're not. That's it. That's it. The performance that everyone can see it. What are you doing that no one can see? What are you Yeah. How are you affecting people in your sphere of influence? What are you doing now? That's one of the acronyms was what about now though? Right? Now, what is happening right now? They want you to focus on the hypothetical harms to give them more doomsday material and to say, ain't it bad? We got that. If they're coming to in the comments too, and I'm like, this person who's been in the streets and all that stuff, and you're in my comment section, you're just doing such a good job, but you're poo-pooing me for laughing with black people in a moment we're having fun despite everything and welcoming white women to the party. One of my favorite comments was someone who responded to the person and said like, welcome to the club, the refreshments are in the back. And I don't know, I think that's funny. It's also welcoming. It's like, "Hey, we wanted you we wanted you here." Not here in the bad place, because I don't think being black is the bad place, but see, there's all that. But yeah, using your body, like, I just think you're more than that also. You're a white woman. Yeah, 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 yeah. Got it. Let's work with that. What do you know? What can you give access to? What platforms in your life do you have access to that you can share, that you can pour into? But just being mad for, I don't know. When we are angry, you called us angry black women trying to divide us. I don't know. Maybe do more reflection and like, damn, I should have listened. What
Yeah,
has been happening since I haven't listened? Like, go back and don't wait for a new startup thing to happen. There are people doing that. Tapped, right? That's join us, right? I think it's more about like having black women's humanity as part of your life will help you see that there are other ways to serve your community or see it, be a part of the community. But no one can tell you. Why would you go to Knitting Cult Lady to tell you what to do with it? That's
because
kind of
then you
fun.
also know that the second you tell them, like, those examples I gave, those are things I'm doing, but, like, then they're gonna have a reason why they can't do
Yeah,
that,
because
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, I sit with myself all the time and ask what I can do, and then I try to find ways to go do it, and it's a constant process, and it's very personal to me being me,
Yeah.
and,
In that day and time
right.
and what you have access to that day and time and what you thought of, you know, discovering your sense of self and like building a sense of self-security is the best way for you to figure out what you should do. I don't know. No one was going to tell me, you know what you should do? Call yourself the white woman whisperer. No one, I got to tell you, no one was telling me to do this. Not a one person in the world would have been like, You know what? I mean, white women, once I would tell them, because I definitely tested out on white women who cared about me, at least at that point, to be like, do you think? And they loved it. And yeah, I knew not everyone will, but they also didn't see the violence in it as well. They didn't push back and go, are you sure? I had the black people in my life for that. But that's only I could know.
But I think that's also knowledge, that's just another example of how good you are with like community. It's like you don't have to go to the same person in your community for each thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep being asked, well, like, don't the white men have a part of this? And I'm like, okay, so like personally, I'm trying to radicalize the white men in my life, but I've chosen to use my platform to try to radicalize white women right now. Like that's one thing I think that I can do since I know what work I've been doing, I
You're
can
a white woman.
pass that on.
Yeah. It
I
just,
have so many people asking me like, but you're a white woman. And I'm like, yes, this is how it works. You leave the call, you deprogram, and then you go get your people.
right. Yeah.
I don't kind of honestly understand the block there, but I think that's just because I've been an ex-cult member since I was 15. So I understand
Yeah.
being like, oh, I've been in something and now I'm not, but I still understand that thing and I can help during this transition period. And I want to go back. Like you said something earlier that is really important to me because obviously we know I got cut out in this messaging of like, forgive all the cult members. And it's like, no, look, when your freaking parents leave a cult and they don't deconstruct, it's not better. They're still bad. And they ultimately end up going into something else generally and just like getting bad again. Right. So like there's a process, I've been in it for almost 15 years now with my own mother who was born and raised in a cult, bringing her through this. And it's like, it's work, right? There's not going to be this like immediate forgiveness, right? But there's like at least a decade of uncovering it, deconstructing it, figuring it out. And then like, at the end of the day, some people still need to go to jail for what they did, right? While they were in a cult. Like
Yeah.
just being like, oh, I no longer subscribe to that ideology anymore. So poof, now I'm forgiven. Like that is definitely not the answer. But at some point, everyone in a cult is a perpetrator because of that performative regulation thing, right? Like all the consenting adults. And there has to be some level of like, if we're pulling down white supremacy, like, what are we going to do? Or even just MAGA, like there's a period of, you called it healing, but I think that healing going to be a lot of tearing things open and a lot of reckoning,
Healing itches.
healing an infection, as you said,
Yeah. It's itchy. Okay. It is not you get the initial trauma, you get the initial wound, it hurts to put the alcohol or whatever on it. It hurts to heal. It is not, healing isn't comfortable. Like what you've been sold of this, like to heaven, I don't know. This healing is messy.
I, on Wednesday last, third degree burned the top of my mouth and the back of my throat and tongue. I'm Korean for lunch now and steamed egg. And it was, anyway. And it was interesting because like Wednesday was okay. Thursday we recorded. I could feel blisters. I thought I had some sores on the top of my mouth. I thought I had a sore throat. And then from Friday to Sunday, I mean, I was just in so much pain. So much pain. And just like, I was like talking myself through this. I was like, okay, it's going to be really, really bad. And then at some point, it starts getting better. And like, as of Monday, I was like, now I'm okay. And now it's like, anyway,
And
sorry. This is just really fresh because it just happened to me.
no, but it's so accurate. And then it's like when you're in it, you think to yourself sometimes like, I'm going to be so grateful when I can do this thing again. This is terrible. And hopefully you are when you're out and you learn something from this. You don't go, I've never, you take it with
You don't go, I'm never eating steamed egg again. You just,
right.
just do
You
better.
just do better. But it seems that whiteness would be like, well, that was your punishment because you shouldn't have been doing, and you're so stupid, and whatever. It's like, well, okay, let's just heal. No, it hurts enough. That's bad enough. We don't need other people to come in and be like, I don't know. Yeah, and I love an analogy. That was great. I like that. And also, I had seen a video of people talking about going no contact or whatever. People don't go no contact because they had a bad childhood with this parent. They go no contact because they had a bad childhood with this parent and the parent never acknowledged what happened. They don't see themselves as part of it. They diminish, they minimize, they silence you. They don't respect you. That's why you 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 did some bad stuff. Okay. But we can't do anything about that now. But what you could do is go, dang, I did. When have be wrong? When's the last time you were wrong about something? Get into that. You can't expect, and I'm working on this in my well-meaning white women something with I don't know what it is yet, but like you can't expect other people to change. You want MAGA to change. You want all of these external systems and people to change, but you haven't done that yet. You haven't shown yourself to be capable. You don't trust yourself with your own thoughts, but you think those people yelling those things are gonna do it before? I don't know, like, show them what it looks like. Heal yourself out loud, and people will go, "Oh, that actually," like, and that's what I think you're doing when we talk about, like, I'm trying to deconstruction doula, give people the permission or whatever, the guidance to go, "You'll be alright, you got this." Like, it's that's silly, that thing you just said, We learned weird stuff. I just learned from a white woman, and she apologized after for introducing me to this, women were bad luck on ships and weren't allowed on submarines until, like, a couple years ago. Now, do I want women in these places? No, but what? So you could title them Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria, all the names, not allowed on it. And that's why womanhood, okay? They use you, and it's dark, but it was like, we were in the ships, you're on the ships. None of us want to be there. Or you shouldn't want to be there. That's on you. You're up at the top of the thing as like a statue, on the ship. I don't know. I'm just making this up in my head. But also we're in it, captured. So let's work together and get these smelly men overboard or with us. I don't know. They
doing
get to
this.
choose, right? You either are off or you have reformed. You are going to reform yourself silently, And so yeah, violence, maybe, I don't know, unlikely, to be honest. And it makes me think, did we talk about Thelma and Louise? And I'm like, why did they die? They didn't have to die. They would have got like 18 months in jail, but the glorifying driving off a cliff together.
The finality. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Grease up into the air. And we talked about that last week. And then Thelma and
People really want it to look like a movie, right?
yeah.
Like, people are trying to decide which movie we're in so that they know what to do, and, like, is not a movie.
Ooh, yeah. When your white movies are what you are. We don't go by what's in the movies, but also
Yeah.
like the limitations of movie characters for you. Oy, terrible. Even when I read Toni Morrison and I'm reading these characters, I was just thinking about that. Like they're individuals with their own rich backstory, each and every one of them. The person who's in it for a couple pages or not. But in white stories, like Disney princess, you're either an extra or a lead. And leads get to do very little. They just get married or something, or maybe drive off in a car off a cliff or up into the clouds with a man. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Bechdel test?
Yeah, yeah. Who made that up? And like, what did we do with that information?
It's just like how few movies there are that have two women having a conversation in a scene on their own that does not include a man. And there are few movies until a few years ago, that actually pass that, like that, have that. And
Tough
they're
though.
just trying to make a point.
Yeah, yeah. I like the point. I love taking things a step further and be like, but of course we would be talking about men. I talk about white people all the time because they're all up in my business, in my space, in my everything, in the rules. So like, yeah, it kind of makes it feel like you know, I feel like it gets weaponized against women sometimes, where they're like, "This conversation wouldn't pass the Bechdel test." Well, I'm sorry, men are ruining everything. Blame the men.
We do need to talk about
You know, like, "Oh, you're so male-centered." Well, I mean, can we get more specific? I am in the way I'm white-centered. Like,
we
well,
do
my
have
work
to
is
spend our whole lives protecting ourselves, and you too, even more.
so in
Yeah.
the deconstruction conversation, men are gonna be a part of it, especially because white women love a good "what about men?" Like, that's when I said, you know, the men of women, they're still upset. I get comments all the time comparing us to a man with all the heartbreaking emojis and the "I can't believe it. How could you?" I don't know. I feel like you went the opposite direction.
Feel like I know what to say now when women say this to me. I get a lot, "What about the men?" And I'm just gonna start being like, "Yeah, I'm bringing my white man. Are you bringing yours?" Like,
Yeah. Like, what ab they're just concepts. We have to stop speaking in character concepts and see each other as, like, individuals, humans who have choices to make, and you want them to make choices that enhance your community and not silence another person. And white women, that's your you I would love more white women silencing other white women who are trying to silence black women because they're not used to that. That's You guys are very comfortable speaking up in black spaces or whatever, but you know, on behalf of a "to be fair, maybe she didn't know, da 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 da." I love when I'm about to think, like, I'm gonna reply to some comment who's being mean, and I saw one, it was a white woman just go, "Girl, please," to someone who was like, "Really? Laughter at a time like this? Blah, blah, blah." And a white woman just goes, "Girl, please." And I loved it. I cackled a little because it's just so simple and better than anything I mean, mine usually is try to be catty like that, like, "Go away," or something small, but that's powerful. It took so little. All you have to do is go, "Hey, don't talk to her like that." And that will send a signal to this white woman. Hopefully, that white woman might turn around and go, "Damn, you're right." Maybe. Unlikely. I don't know. But when you're white, things are very different. You guys are much more open to listening to each other. But when I say go away, it's like, but if one of you says it, then you might go, "Oh, wait, am I missing something? I want to be part of the party." Be a part of the party. I remember I talked about that hallway thing where there's 2 rooms. One is angry, yelling, passionate that way, and the other is passionate, dancing, party vibes. Which one are you gonna walk into? You have limited energy and time, and exhaustion is their power. Your exhaustion is their power, and you're silencing other people, and, you know, I wish alright, let it happen again then, I guess. I don't know. Or you can come join us where we're like, "Isn't it crazy? Let's just dance it out for a couple minutes. Now what do we think?" Now that we've worked some of that out internally. You know, I there's such a
I
gap
can
there.
promise you there's dancing at war.
Right.
White people tried to make it very scandalous, but
Well, because you're not supposed to
we
be a
would
human.
just yeah, and it was so I mean, the okay, so I have to tell this story now because the USO, right, which has been a thing since World War II, I believe, United Services Organization supporting the military, and the MWR, the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, right, official military club, hosted salsa nights in Afghanistan. I'm not sure about Iraq because I wasn't there, but I would assume in both places, right? And these are there was 100,000 people living on Bagram. There was 30,000 people or something living on Kandahar airfield, right? So these are cities, people are going from them to the war and then coming back. And like sometimes they shoot rockets into our city. However, people who were not on shift and could go to salsa dancing would sometimes go. And the way you would think we were like torturing kittens. And I would look at these people, I'd be like, you to tune out from the war, go to your room and watch 6 hours of movies. I go dance. Like,
Yeah.
your thing isn't better than or different from my thing. But it was just so like
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
the
What
adults, they couldn't ban it, right? Because of said official programs. And of course, it was salsa, so it was led for soldiers by soldiers, so it was led mostly by not white soldiers, and they just like, the leadership of the United States Army military, I should say, just could not stand it, and it was very interesting the way they would try to
Listen,
make
ideas
it was a thing. It was a whole thing on both of my deployments that I was an officer who was a woman who was single who insisted on going dancing.
like, what
And it was,
is
like,
that?
bad for my career.
Like, that whatever that is, that's what keeps them locked in and not
Oh,
questioning stuff.
by the way, many years whenever, World War II before the army was desegregated, like, you were expected to know how to dance as an officer. Ballroom dancing. You were
For the very
expected to be able to do that. But as soon as the military integrated,
Hmm.
shockingly, dancing becomes
Because
a
that's a
thing
different
that
type of
you
dancing.
don't
That's a different
do.
type of dancing. If you're dancing for us at a ball, that is allowed because we're watching and it's prescribed and we're regulating, right? But you just going out and being like a normal person who dances at night type of vibes with the other parts of your body that aren't square like this or just like straight up and down. Very like when I said that,
I tell you, we were dancing salsa in the least sexy manner in which you could dance salsa because none of us were trying to get this canceled. Like,
what is now I'm just like, hey, white women, go play really good music at the ice people and see what happens. I feel like it'll break because that keeps you in tune with your humanity, I think. And that's why they don't want you doing it. They don't want you dancing. They don't like black
dancing.
people. You know,
Do,
it moves
do
you.
in Portland, the Latin Dance Society was giving dance classes out in front of ICE headquarters.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. It's like not going straight to violence. You know, whether this system is violent. I don't think white women understand what violence means. Maybe that's where I'm at because y'all are violent and you still don't think you are or like you can experience it. You do it to each other. You know, what is abuse? And, you know, they just decide it's only what men do and guns. And how do we get there? It's usually physical violence and physical abuse comes after the emotional abuse because you get to the place in your head where you accept it in for that time being, whatever it is. Because it doesn't just start like that. You don't start with physical abuse. So some people are like, emotional is worse than physical. And people who are like, yeah, as a person physically abused, do you think that my parents were emotionally nice to me? No, it starts with not seeing you as a person and instead as an extension of the law, an extension of your vote or something. You need to see them as humans. And how do we get them to stop doing this job? Get them to stop doing this job. That's all I try to get white women to stop doing the job of upholding white supremacy. I want you guys to get these white men to stop doing the job of enforcing law, whatever the physical interpretation of that is. And it's not going to be by yelling at them. I wish, do you know how much yelling I could do? It wouldn't work. I'm nice and they think I'm yelling.
Yeah.
They think I hate white women, even though I'm having fun, you know, whatever. And some of them will, but I do think get into
Well,
those
and it's
brains
like, I
with
keep
bodies.
thinking about this like, okay, so white people are born with a weapon system in our skin because we're born into a system of white supremacy, right?
Mhm,
And then we also have this, I think, sort of made up, but at least this concept of whiteness being a shield.
mhm, mhm.
But I'm very sure that, like, deconstructing, when you deconstruct white supremacy, you still have the weapon built into your skin. You still have whiteness as a shield, and you can use it in the fight, whether that fight be hot or not, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's also why I don't like the whole when you're in your proximity to whiteness and you once you step in and you're not what are you talking about? You're still white. I don't know, like, get more into your whiteness. I'm leaning into my proximity, which is barely, which is knowing white women and not seeing you as a monolith. How about you do that now? You know, what would White Woman Whisperer do? I'm gonna make stickers like that or something because I'm talking to you the way I need you to talk to them, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, this is
And
I see you as a person.
I think this monolith thing, is true, right? It's like all white women are not created equal. There's different things, like there's different, like when I'm getting in people's faces, I am a veteran. I lead with this as much as a white lady because that's an additional shield, right? Like there is different things. I have a large platform. That is an additional thing, right? Like there are different things you can do, right? And like my husband and I have talked about it as we talk about the ICE raids in our community, and everyone is doing the things that they can do. And it's like, we want them, everybody knows, like we are 27 years of white veterans in this house, like call us, come to us. And then also he shows up in his army jacket and stands in front while I stream on my big platform, because even he and I are not the same. And, when my 6'2" husband in an army jacket tells an ICE officer that he has a little penis, like those guys step back,
Man, his feelings are hurt. When you say it, not so much. When I say it, they don't care at all. They say, "Of course she does. She's whatever," And we can't give you the culty cures of what you should do. That's have more faith in yourself. Faith in future you, not faith in a system that will leave you alone. Maybe if you're good. Whoa, stop fighting for that. See yourself as a potential knitting cult lady, a potential white woman whisperer in your own world of like, you chose to do something different.
And also, white women, are you radicalizing the white men in your lives? Are you asking them what they're doing? Are you sending them out to protests?
Yeah, having the
Like,
conversations out loud with the people in your life as you just try to figure it out will bounce and create bonds and create community in itself because you don't know you've never talked about this before. You should have been, but you didn't. Let's talk about why you didn't. What did you think was going to happen? That's so strange. Where did you learn that? Get into it and do it out loud and you have more white people around you listening. It's infectious in a different way. Like contagious, like laughter is infectious. I don't know, something like that. We kind of talk about infections, I don't know, something there. Medicine and apples a day. I don't know. I just think get more creative. I think cults are not creative. The system is not creative. What you're looking for is something that's already been done, and everything already been done has gotten us here. So try something new. That's why I am okay with critiquing mostly only white, like civil rights people in the past, because I don't know, y'all are using them as like the John Brown of it all. People still get mad at me about that. I'm just saying, what else could he have done? I'm critical. I think being critical is critical. Like great. He'll be fine. He died because he didn't listen. He didn't listen to the black people who were organizing other stuff, and so he died. And the 5 people he brought, but 5 black people included in that, died as well. So like, okay, so what did we learn? He's great. What did we learn about that? John Brown needs museums dedicated to him, apparently multiple. And Kansas will stand up for him anytime anyone says anything bad. I don't think that's energy well spent. I think you didn't learn from it. You're learning about, not learning from. And that's not enough. You're learning about history and you're not learning from history. That's a problem. And then you're talking down to everybody who was a part of that history and like living it and learning from it. So it's great, you know everything. What have you done? I like that you would ask, like, I like the question of like, what are you doing now? And just have people think, what am I doing now? Is it nothing? Because I think it might be nothing. Start with more than that. I don't know, but it's that cult thing, I don't know. I don't want
all you're
people
doing
talking
right
about
now is watching and waiting for people on the internet to tell you what to do. Like, you're not doing enough.
no, like, and if they're inspired by what you're doing, I'd rather, it's like, okay, what is she doing? Right? What are you actively doing every day? You're showing up and you're speaking to something using your past experiences, blah, 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 out loud. Okay, that's what they should be taking cues from, not just what you say. And you know, what you
To do.
direct. But that's so they're so focused in that and that like getting, are you right? Are you wrong? Did she get it? I don't like that.
Just keep telling them, I'm like, my job is to help you define the threat, and then you have to go figure out what to do and how you're gonna like carry on with your mission. Like,
Yeah, they want hand holding, but like you're an adult. We don't need to hold hands to cross the street. Just follow me across. Like I don't know.
it's like everyone when they don't have the answer, it just comes back to they want an easy answer. Everyone wants an easy answer.
Yeah, they
And
want a solution, and I
there's
think I'm getting
not
that too.
an easy
Not
answer.
an answer. Yeah, they want what will equal this out back to where it needs to be, and not like a zoom out and see like, oh, it's been bad the whole time.
Always
There
been bad.
isn't. Yeah, there is no solution. It's you seeing that the answer is, hey, wake up. The American dream. Remember that dream part of it? Dream. You were dreaming. You're asleep. Wake up. That's such a weird thing that we're selling people. Dreams? What about lives? What about living? No. It's all about what to fear, nightmares, hell, right, war. That's a man thing.
Yeah.
War.
And if it gets too bad here, we'll go to space.
Yeah. We'll just keep traveling and spreading our germs everywhere. Like, can you sit down? No. Then we might have to, then they start digging into the earth and building weird things here and like just let it be. Yeah, Toni Morrison had used
You
the term
know,
depression for like in the earth, like creating a depression. And I was like, wait, yeah, that's what they came to. They started with just digging holes and being like, let's fill it with bodies. And then you climb out and you crabs in a bucket each other out of this depression. And then you get to the land and you're like, now I gotta go throw more people into the hole. I don't know. I don't like it. There's a lot we could work with though. We got a lot of people here.
yeah. For some reason, it just made me think that I'm like, okay, by far and large, the majority of European white people who ended up in America, it was like, well, Europe's broken. Let's go somewhere new. And the whole world was kind of doing that at the same time with imperialism. And then like I just finished this book called The End of the Myth, and it was like for hundreds of years America was maintained and pushed on because even when we have problems, we have the frontier, we can go conquer something, we can go do something, and then it goes global. And like at some freaking point, and I think that point is now, we actually just have to figure out the issues with our country. And there's no good to go back to. There's no, the course I took for my master's on power and privilege and systems, the teacher said, she was like, at some point, this gets real because y'all realize that like people want land back. People want reparations. Like there's no tidy answers. Nobody's alive today is responsible for the system, but here we are in it.
No, but what are we gonna do about it? What about
What are
now?
we gonna do about it?
Yeah,
And that's, we're gonna be doing cast in book club this year, my book club. I'm excited about that, and
fundamental.
she gives this great analogy of like, if your house is found to have lead paint, that's not your fault, but now that it's your fault if you don't leave, and it's definitely your fault if you don't get your children out of there. And that is kind of the way I'm taking it's like everyone gets their journey at their point, and if you didn't have the awakening beforehand, I mean, you just have to have it when you have it. But now
Right.
but now that you've had it, it is your responsibility
Yeah.
to go
Find
educate yourself
fi
and
yeah,
to
find
go.
others who well, and you will as you go through it, but yeah, it hurts, it's not good, but, and it reminds me this whole, like, traveling thing reminds me of, Handmaid's Tale and this whole Gilead, right? She's in Gilead, and the whole thing is escaping and getting the kids out, escaping and getting some of the kids out, escaping, getting some of the kids out. What about stopping this fucking the men doing the things? They got brothels, but they also cut off fingers for doing stuff. This doesn't make any sense. Fix it. You're running away to Canada to escape space. Canada got the same type of things in this, even in the show. I don't know. I struggle with it because why is escaping the way out?
People spend a lot of time asking me if I'm gonna tell them when it's time to run away, and I'm like, "No, I'm staying here to
How
advise
dare you?
the people that are staying here."
It's like, so It just they didn't care enough to get out. Are you assuming that everyone here is having a good time? They want to stay? I don't think that's not what it seems to be with all the people hanging on the stuff. They seem like they would be down for whatever revolution, but no. We just got to get some of these kids to a different part, a different latitude and longitude, and that'll save them. And I think, yeah, white people associate help with saving and saviorship and all of that, and a safe, like a sheltered situation instead of being safe, actual safety, actual social security and like actual socialized, not dollars, not buy into, earn stuff. We're questioning all the wrong people and the wrong things, asking you rhetorical questions essentially about when are we. You're not ready to do it. You can't even get off your like it's exhausting, but this is what we do anyway.
Yep.
Because otherwise, what? I'm not leaving. Where am I gonna go? Why? If you think that's I don't know.
Yeah.
The white people who say that out loud just really. Why do you
Yeah.
think it's what? So it's fine for everybody else? More good people leave? Who's left?
It's the whole, there's a quote from someone, and I don't remember, I saw it memeified, but it was like, the important point is not that Einstein escaped the Holocaust. The important point is that for sure, men and women who were just like Einstein have died in labor fields around the world.
And we don't talk a lot about what Einstein in Cast. She talks about Einstein coming to America and going, "What are they doing here?" The disease is a part of the white people and how they look at, well, he would say the Negroes at that time. And I didn't know this about Albert Einstein. I didn't know he had very strong feelings about how black people are treated in this country, but he did. But we just E equals MC squared.
We don't talk about that part. Yeah.
No, his hair was crazy, guys. His hair was nuts. And yeah, as a black Jewish woman, I love Caste for so many reasons, but that was a big one for me. I was like, and this is not what we learned. And that we could address. It's all right here. We've got it all. We just have to be comfortable enough with confronting it and not having your identity based on being right this whole time. Silly. Let that go. I will come up with, I'll start saying a phrase and realize I hate this phrase as I'm saying it. The other day I said I had a video in the chamber and I was like, yuck. That's fun to
And
me.
I think the other part of this is like, when you find out your house has lead paint in it, like that sucks. That's going to cost you something. You might lose your home. You're going to have to move. Like none of it is fair. And yet
But
you
you
should
are
do
going to
that.
feel so much better. You didn't even know you were sick from this lead.
Yeah.
You thought that's how life was.
Yeah, like I blame the boomers for a lot, and they absolutely did not
White
teach
boomers.
us. White boomers, they absolutely did not teach us how to get civically involved, right? How to engage, blah blah blah. Well, like now we got to do that too. Now we got to just go learn it too. And maybe this is a good place to wrap up with like, I still feel like the recommendation, like right now, it's people. What if he cancels midterms? Go educate yourself on it. Whatever you are nervous about right now, y'all, go educate yourself on the history of that in our country. Because every single thing I have looked at, I have found there was always historically pushback,
Yeah,
and we don't talk about
what
that.
if?
And we need to learn those methods and figure out how that is going to apply to us right now. But
Yeah, and see it through in your head. What if? Okay, all right, what if? Then what? What would black people have done? How have black people survived when the entire government said, not a human? Get strength from some of this and like, okay, what if? Well, then what are you going to do? Not like, what if I'm scared hiding your covers? I mean, maybe for a day or two while your throat heals, maybe you see it, you get sad and you need to metabolize it. Maybe don't step out right, but no, it's the beginning of something. I'm the doula because afterwards, now you have to take this. I'm just helping you get through it to realize, no, you weren't safe without this and all that. And now you get to live a great life with your, You're
Too
gonna
late.
feel so much better outside of that lead house.
Take this
Yes, it
thing and
does.
take care of it for 18 to 25 years.
Right, right. Well, as a childless person, I'm here to help you. I'm also Black, not white. So, you know what I'm saying? All I'm doing is giving you my perspective,
Right, that's what I'm
what I've
saying.
learned.
Now you have this thing that I've helped you unlock. Now you gotta be with this while it grows up. And that's like I do kind of think, like, everyone just wants, like, an easy solution, and then we just get to go back to, like, being white people and having a country that mostly works. Like, we'll get them out of here and it's fine. And,
That's
like,
MAGA, guys.
people
That's
just
MAGA.
don't realize that I think that you don't get to go back. You don't get to retake the pride in being a white American. There was no pride in that in the first place. And like it's gonna be different from here on out. It's just gonna be different.
It'll be a different kind of pride. It'll still happen. You won't be miserable. I'm telling you. Black people, do we look miserable? No. We get angry, but now you'll feel like there's purpose behind it and people will validate it. You're not going to be in a house full of regulators. So there's that. You're not going to have a lead wall just suffocating your voice and making you sick every weekend and tired and exhausted. You're going to, yeah, be out a couple dollars, but you'll be able to breathe and swallow and stuff. So it's a yes and it's multitudes. It's complicated, but that's life. It's complicated. Get it? It's better than complex. We don't want a complex. We want complicated.
Thank you again for your guidance during
Yeah, it
this
was heavy,
time.
but we have good stuff coming
Finding of
up.
all things. Oh my gosh, we
Yeah.
have our party coming up.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday, y'all. No podcast from us because we will be partying in
It'll be
person.
IRL.
The book. Yeah.
Oh,
January 20th, College Park, Maryland. January 24th, New York City. Details are in the link. Check out Rebecca's Patreon. White lady's asking what you can do right now. Subscribe to Rebecca's Patreon. She's literally giving examples every day.
this is true.
And
Easy enough.
it's a good place to start. Check out the link for the Angry Knittin'. It's one of the things that I am trying to do, and it has a page about how you can get involved and gives you ideas and stuff. So we're all trying things from our angles. What are you going to do? Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.